youngsters. Great chance here. That does it. Steve McGavin. And for the first time, Colchester United have won a major final.
Still Garcia, finally the company arrives and it's in! It's a freak-out goal from Ricardo Carvalho. Richard Garcia wants the credit and the shock is on at the bridge.
And it's promotion for Colchester United. They've made it into the Championship for the first time in 69 years.
Porter, being held, there is Porter, and that's Maka!
Welcome to Beyond The Barside, the podcast that covers all things Colchester United. I am Aaron J, and I am joined by Si, Ashley, and Dave. And the U's, well, it was a performance. Probably not an exciting performance or even a good one, but it was a performance all the same as the U's fell 1-0 at home to Notts County. I'm going to start with you, Si. A lot of criticism's gone towards Matt Macey at various points throughout the season. Just going to sort of start on a positive. I think Matt Macey, without him playing, it could have potentially been a 3 or 4-0 defeat. How would you describe Matt Macey's performance?
He was rightly man of the match, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's one of the few times this season where the man of the match has been chosen.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Not been Jack Payne because that's who the sponsors want to meet. But no, it went to the right person, which is always a worry when it's a defender or a goalkeeper when you've been beaten, especially how we played and how poor. You call it a performance. Well, I call it more, did we turned up?
Mm-hmm.
We were there. I wouldn't say we performed, but yeah, Matt Macey did very well. He'll see a lot of shots. But again, it was a very good snapshot of why we've fallen short this season, where obviously we defended fairly well. Matt Macey kept them out. Didn't take a few chances we got in the box, we didn't take. And then we had a very unthinking moment, if you like, gave them the opportunity to get in behind our defence, and they didn't need asking twice, and they scored from it. So it's just brilliant for Matt Macey to kind of put a few of the doubters to bed if we're in our last home game of the season. But my God, we've got to find someone that knows how to shoot.
We'll sandwich the good points amongst the bad points as well. Ashley, Notts County go 1-0 up. Kane Vincent-Young gives possession away really cheaply. We fail to regain the possession, and Notts County round off sort of a nice couple of 1-2 passes to go 1-0 up. It was all a bit too easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you say I think Vincent-Young left the ball quite high up the pitch, and at that point you've got to sprint to get back because we got overloaded. And they were dangerous down that side in the first half. I think it was the Jaden Luca for them. He was really good.
Yeah, he was. Him and Jody Jones, I thought were exceptional.
Yeah. I think it was his first game back since August as well. So I think that's why they took him off after 65 minutes. But he was decent, and then obviously Tisharula on that side who ended up finishing the goal off as well. They were good first half. But Vincent-Young was on a booking as well. I was surprised that he hadn't been hooked, to be fair, at half time, because it was a chance. There was a slight little tug that he'd done just before half time where it could have resulted in a second yellow. But saying that, he didn't get back. And even when they worked the chance, they pulled it back. Tisharula, he had all the time in the world. Steadied himself. And there was just, no one seemed to be closing him down. It was just way too much time to finish. And he just picked his spot. Good finish. But from then, I didn't really get the feeling we were going to get back into the game. I thought, if anything, they were going to get 2 or 3. As we've already touched on, Matt Macey kept us in the game, and I think we were very fortunate it finished 1-0, to be honest. I think that kind of flattered us, and it was just a really disappointing way to sort of end the home league campaign, really.
Yeah, we sort of finished on a whimper, really, and as you say, Matt Macey kept us in the game, particularly in the latter parts of the game. He had a lot more work to do as Notts County was sort of banging on the door, trying to get that second goal and put the game to bed. But you mentioned obviously a half-time substitution. Dave, Colchester United make a half-time substitution off the back of a pretty significant injury to Lewis Macari. Not sure whether it's an ankle break or a leg break, but Aurora Edwards goes in for the challenge with Macari. No malice in it, but he's caught him awkwardly, and that has led to a significant break in play and a significant injury. And I think it was you, Ashley, actually, that tweeted that the blue lights came on about 10 minutes or so after him being stretchered off the pitch. Aurora stays on, comes off at half time. Do you feel like the two are linked, Dave?
I think they are, because it was, it was really unfortunate. I hope the guy's okay. It was an awful. You could see from the reaction. It was a bad one, but it was a genuine challenge by Aurora. He wasn't cautioned or anything. Sometimes it just happens. It's really unfortunate. And yeah, our best wishes go out to Macari for Notts. But yeah, so very well could have been that. It's a tough thing to deal with for a player. However, innocence probably the wrong word, because there's no even assumption that there could be guilt. But you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
However it happened, it must affect you. But at the same time, he wasn't having a good game at all, and that the challenge actually came about for him getting the ball and just running into a complete blind alley, full of opposition players. So, and yeah, there were a couple of players, I think. Again, I don't know what you guys felt. I don't think Danny was necessarily angry after the game, but just sort of accepting what he's going to have to do in the summer.
He mentioned, so the key word that he mentions, it was something that I was going to come on to later, but we'll come on to it now, was reset. That was the word he used, that we needed to reset and rebuild next season. And he spoke about how the club need a change in mindset and culture to sort of be more positive going forward.
Yeah.
And I think that sort of echoes what you're saying, doesn't it, Dave?
Yeah, it does. And I think there were a couple of players who maybe sort of, it's too harsh to say played themselves out of a new contract, but certainly made the decision maybe either less clear or towards not being renewed. And I thought, we've discussed, we go in that cycle with Aurora, don't we? He's out of the team, he gets angry, he performs, he comes back into the team, he gets comfortable. He goes back to type, can't control the ball, runs down blind alleys. If the season was another 5 games longer, I dare say he'd be on the bench the next 3 games. Come on, play well. Start 2 games and play badly. And I think that's the sort of thing that Danny's wants to reset.
Certainly, and it's ironic because I was going to mention maybe that was a depth issue, but actually that position is a position that we're quite well endowed with in terms of wingers. So it's certainly not a depth issue. Maybe it's a mindset one.
And there are places where we do have depth issues, but Kane Vincent-Young, his last 3 performances have been really, really poor. And not just defensively, but I mean, did he play a single forward pass yesterday? I don't think he did. And I've said this before.
Did they? Yeah.
But to be fair, and we spoke about this before, just to put something in his favour, I think I don't understand necessarily why Hunt plays right and Kane Vincent-Young plays left. I think Hunt's almost completely 2-footed. I've never had any issue with him on the left. And I think Kane Vincent-Young's, I think he was really consistent on the right, I thought. That run of games he had, especially sort of since Christmas. So yeah, a mitigating factor there for him. But yeah, the last few performances have been really poor. And I think his mindset, because he can't do, when he burst onto the scene, Micah Richards style, the way he'd sort of get forward, and we all remember that goal. He just burst forward, smashing the sort of corner against Cambridge. He can't do that now. And I think it plays on his mind when he doesn't want to take the risk to go forward. And we saw yesterday when he did give the ball away, he wasn't able to get back. If you look at the replay, if you look at the goal on the TV, as the ball hits the back of the net, a lot has happened since they got possession. He's just coming in the shot. And I think, that's something that there's going to have to be taken into consideration if he's going to be renewed or not. But it was just a nothing game, wasn't it? From us, we just didn't contribute to the game. Apart from Macy, we didn't really contribute to the game. It was just a sort of what can Notts do in relation to their promotion.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. It was a training game for Notts County. We'd been required to provide 11 players for them to try out some different things and to gain a bit of confidence in front of goal.
I think it's certainly over the past few weeks we've spoken about how Colchester United are potentially on the beach with nothing to play for, and we've not expected the performances to be any good, but then the performances in some of those games have been really good. We've come out fighting. They're sort of playing for want of a better word, contracts or livelihoods next season. The Notts County game felt like we were on the beach. It felt like we were done. It was the first time that I really thought this looks like a side who really do have nothing to play for, which is a shame because you want your squad and the team that you support to be fighting right till the very last game. I saw a comment on X from a Hughes fan basically saying, well, is it worth going to Cheltenham now if that's where we're at, if that's the energy that's going into the performances? And to be honest, I completely see their point. But I did say that I'd try and include a few positives. Sam Kafour comes on in the 55th minute. I thought he had a pretty good game, actually.
He did, and I think what was quite telling is the fact that in a poor performance, he's able to come in and make a bit of an impact and make a bit of a difference. See, at times it like our most attacking threat as well as a solid defender, which I suppose is good on his part, but does cause other questions to be asked about other players across the pitch. And not just how he came on, but how he conducted himself. His post-match interview was very articulate, and you can see that if he carries on how he is, I think it's going to be a big part of the plans next year. It's going to be quite interesting to see where we go with him fully fit with the pre-season. Who will partner Jack Tucker next year? Obviously, we've seen Thomas Balogun's good with his Achilles going now. You've got to wonder is this time that he's going to call it a day playing and look to more of a backroom role. So I'd like to see more of him for sure, and hopefully he'll get the start against Cheltenham just to kind of build from what he's already laid the foundations for.
Yeah, and next season will certainly be an interesting one. I would imagine that we're going to look to bring people in the off season, but I can see Sam Kafour potentially knocking on the door for first team minutes throughout next season. If not, maybe getting a loan move somewhere in the National League. It certainly, he certainly didn't do himself any injustice on yesterday's performance. I thought he was really, really good, and that makes it all the more intriguing as we approach the off season, because Dave, you've alluded to it already that some players potentially have played themselves out of a contract. Ashley, there's a few players that are out of contract at the end of the season. I know in the fans forum, Danny did sort of drop the bombshell that some of the players who are out of contract do have year options in them. So that's really, really positive. We could sort of take a guess at who doesn't have that option based on whose year options were activated last season. So we sort of know it's not going to be a handful of players. But is there anyone that you saw yesterday that you feel definitely will be at the club next season that perhaps at the moment have a bit of a question mark over them?
That's a good question. I think just going aside from that, I think the key ones for me, I think you didn't play yesterday, but Alessandro Ndolo and Arthur Reed, their contracts, I think they had their year option taken at the start of this season. So those guys will need to be offered new deals, and obviously they're free to leave. I think a lot of the other players like Jack Panny, Mac Macy, Harry Anderson, they've got the option where I believe the club have got the option where they can then extend them going into next season. So we are in I think, a fairly strong position in that sense there. But like you say, I think, I mean, judging on yesterday's performance, I mean, I don't think many players wanted getting a new contract, but obviously there is your key players that you want to see there next year. There'll be your Jack Paynes and your Arthur Reed. You're going to Mac Macy. You'll want to see them obviously be with us next year, going into next season, and obviously you want to keep them players on. But I just think certain players, for me, Teddy Bishop is possibly one of them. I don't know if I would be prepared to offer him a new deal if I'm being harsh and being cutthroat there. I don't know if he's wanted given a new deal to, especially with Ben Perry coming back onto the side. Yeah, I think he's a bit of a 50-50 for some fans. I know your opinions on it as well, but for me, I'm not sure that he wants a new one. Aurora Edwards again. You look at his return this season. I think he's probably had the same amount of red cards as he's had goals. And as you say, it's just far too much inconsistency there with him as well. So, but the likes of Rob Hunt, I think he's massively improved this season. I would like to see him get a new deal, or I'd like to see his, get another year. Gutted for Tom Flanagan as well. I think the way he spoke on the radio a couple of weeks ago was that he wanted to get back and be here for next year. I know he will be one of those players where the 2 years are now up. So whether the club decide to support him in his rehab or not, that'll be interesting to see. And there's just so many questions, isn't there, with so many contracts in the balance at the moment, and it's just going to be such an interesting summer. And I think it's all going to come down to this takeover as well. If the takeover goes through, it's going to strengthen obviously what we can do. If not, then I think there is going to be a few outgoings.
Certainly, and in regards to the rehab for Tom Flanagan, I believe Lyle Taylor was in a similar situation last season where a deal wasn't agreed, but the U's still allowed him to have his rehab with the club. So I would imagine Tom Flanagan being sort of club captain and so highly regarded by those at the club that his rehab would certainly be taken care of.
And you can see him taking on another role, can't you?
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, he's done a lot of the analysis and
he's very, like you said, he really studies the game. You can tell, and he's very articulate. So it would be. I'm sure it's already been discussed, or maybe not if he's just done a career-ending injury during the week. But I'm sure it's in the thoughts of Danny and Nicky, and probably even Tom himself. So this is that's the next stage. It's something he's got all the attributes to be really good at it.
Yeah, he certainly would. He certainly would. And I feel just to sort of round things off, Dave, Danny's interview after the game was quite intriguing actually, because he talks about his sort of reasoning behind the setup and why he went for Will Goodwin and Samson Tavide sort of both playing, although Samson played in that sort of right-hand side role, playing sort of two strikers. Although Samson isn't playing in that striker role, he's still sort of playing two strikers. He felt that he wanted to press Notts County quite high, and he felt that Colchester have struggled historically against sides that have tried to sort of nullify the attack, and he wanted to sort of be on the front foot and be attacking. You mentioned in the WhatsApp group that we didn't lay a glove on them, and I think that's a very accurate description. We didn't lay a glove on them. What was it about Colchester United's performance that meant our strategy didn't work?
Well, there was no real quality balls played forward to them. But when we did, I don't think Goodwin struggled against their centre-backs, who were, to be fair, really strong, really aggressive in how they defended against him. So it was always going to be a tough game, but we didn't really get enough from him. We didn't really play to Sampson's strengths. I think he did okay a couple of times, sort of trying to bring others into play, but when we did bring people into play, and I think sometimes part of that tactic was, and I think this was experimental. I think Danny probably learned quite a lot, was to get Sampson quite close to Goodwin. But there were occasions when they were almost too close together sometimes. And the outball that would have been Sampson down the right, there was nowhere else to go. So we had to go back into traffic. And then Arthur Reed or Barbara didn't really have any way to progress the ball. So we had to go back, which meant sort of hitting them with that sort of directness. They were able to reset. So we couldn't get that sort of penetration that we needed. And the quality going forward. And when we did get it, Jack Tucker played some good balls forward, but when Awura did get a bit of space, he didn't use it, as we've already discussed. I thought, we had discussed it before. I thought Terry had a difficult afternoon. And part of that, a significant part of that was his distribution. So we weren't able really, and to be fair, I think Sampson tried his best. Sampson, and obviously Sampson's on the right, Terry plays the ball that diagonal left to right, and the quality just wasn't really there. So with all the best intentions, that tactic didn't really have didn't have much of a chance to really succeed because we weren't able to deliver the ball as we should. And it was just they won everything in the midfield. Interesting. I thought it was interesting what Danny said about players being running on fumes. Sounded critical, but I think I would suggest, don't know if you guys agree, but he was talking about Arthur Reed.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't being particularly critical. It was just saying, look, he can't give any more. he's given everything. He's given everything this season. He's running on fumes. He's got Barbara. Barbara didn't. I think Barbara was man of the match probably 3 games in a row before yesterday, but didn't really have him again. He's playing again. That's the best midfield he's played against.
I think
certainly.
I made a
disservice.
Oh no, he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad.
He
just wasn't able to influence it up against those really. They were really a proper football man weight. They were canny operators.
I made an observation first half where Finley Barbrook sort of had a little bit of a set to with their number 8, whose name escapes me at the moment. Norburn. Yeah, he had a bit of a set to with him where they sort of they got a little bit tangled up with one another when they both sort of slid in for a 50-50 and they sort of shoved each other off, and Norburn was quite forceful with him. Couple of minutes later, a 50-50 goes in again between both of them, and Barbrook sort of stands off it a little bit. And I think that sort of set the tone for the rest of the game. I think Norburn and subsequently the Notts County midfield knew they could sort of get away with a little bit against our midfield too.
That's a football analogy, isn't it? Letting know you're there early.
It's just between him and that number 14, a really tall guy. Again, I don't know his name, but they ran it. They ran it.
I think Bienda won it. I think the goal. Yeah, he was decent.
That's why it's handy having someone that covered the game and had to learn the names, Ashley, because
someone who does some prep.
It's quite an interesting one you mentioned about that side of things, because I had a chat. I was fortunate to have a chat with their manager after the game, and he was quite actually complimentary of us as a team. He said that we're a good side, and
they all do. It's really annoying.
but we know that. And I was basically, to put it politely, I said to him, like, we are a good side, but we lack physicality. We lack having a hard guy or a sort of someone like they had in our midfield, and he just nodded, and I think teams have come wise to that. They know that we have got a bit of a soft centre, and that's how they can get at us.
Yeah, I think that's been pretty evident a few times this season. And as you say, Arthur Reed has been exceptional throughout the year. I mean, we're recording this ahead of the awards on Thursday, which I'm not going to. Si, you are.
Yeah.
Ashley, are you going?
No, I'm not. No, I won't be there.
No, so it would just be Si representing us there, but it wouldn't surprise me if Arthur Reed has picked up a few awards this season, as well as Jack Tucker and Micah M. Bick. But we'll round it off with a one-word review. I neglected to put it out there. I keep forgetting to do it, which is something we have to
on
work
top
on.
of doing all of the producing.
Your one job apart from all the other jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've got even more next season if I'm going to do all of the things that we're setting out to do.
Thank you. Well, we should encourage people. Thank people who have responded.
Some of the suggestions have been really, really good. There was one from. It was actually on X. I think it was in response to the tweet that you did, Dave, where it was.
Was it Luke?
I think it was Luke, where Luke spoke about getting what was it?
So
I want to try and find it.
Yeah,
this is probably something. Yeah, he wanted EFL and Cole U related questions. So he wanted the opportunity for fans to either message in or do a voice note specific questions for the people on the panel that week, and then we sort of answer it there and then. I think that's a great idea. That's something we'll definitely do next season. We had a couple of suggestions on the Google form as well, where lots more sort of match day based content or things actually in person and at the game. Happy to do it if there's a bit more of an appetite for it. So lots of fan interaction, and also a lot of people quite keen in wider EFL discussions, which again I think is a good idea. It's a league that's League Two especially is a really exciting one, and a really sort of open, and anyone can sort of beat anyone.
Well,
so
that's
I think
good
that's
because we're going to be in
nice.
it forever.
Yeah, we're going to be in it for a long time, so it's probably good to speak about League Two sort of in a wider perspective.
I do like the ones about Dave's food reviews as well. I think we should have like every away day you should have to get something to eat and then review it afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's the same though, but you can go. You can have a scale. You can go from Harrogate down to Accrington.
Yeah,
2 pods per week as well. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Right. No, we're more interested in his food scale here. Everyone, come on.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
I was just going to say an automatic disqualification for anywhere that doesn't serve black coffee. I had 3 away days where they don't serve black coffee. It's the easiest drink to make,
doesn't it?
It's the easiest drink to make. It's the simplest drink other than water.
Anyway, sorry, and you carry on with the actual stuff.
2 podcasts a week, so having a review podcast and having a preview podcast, which is doable if those podcasts are shorter. So again, something that I think we will do next season. Some pre-season content to sort of keep us going and ease us into it. The big one was player interviews, which Si, you go to every game, you speak to every player, and we're very fortunate that we were able to speak to Jack Baldwin at the beginning of the season, and we are speaking to another player which will come out within the coming week or so. It's a lot more difficult to get hold of guests than you may think. So as much as I'd like to keep the Beyond the Barside meet stuff going, it's quite challenging because we're working with a particular size pool of guests, and
also you've got elements that have got contract obligations. They can only talk to certain things or can't speak to certain people. Some of the ex-players or other can't come on for that reason. So
yeah. One of the big ones that gets mentioned all of the time can't come on because his club won't let him. So as much as I'd like to keep that going, that's the hardest one, I think, to keep going at the moment. So we'll have to see what that brings next season. But anyway, 1-word review of that Notts County performance. I've given you plenty of time to think of that one word. Si, what are you going for?
Yawnsome.
Sorry?
Yawnsome.
Yawnsome. I thought you were saying like Johnson, but in a very weird way.
Yawnsome. It's basically
that's a VAR check on whether that's an actual word or not.
Si's done loads of his own words and they've all worked. I think that works, Si.
Yes,
Yawnsome.
Basically, it was dull, wasn't it? I've already used dull as dishwater this season, so I had to come up with a new one. So yeah,
I think you've used dishwater as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I say. I have to. There's only so many versions of dull we can give, so I have to kind of look outside the box a little bit. See it, yawnsome. It was what it says in the tin. We yawned, but more than some, really, a lot.
Yawn lot. Ashley, what are you going for?
Just gonna keep it simple, flat.
Yeah, it was. It really was probably one of the only performances this season where I felt we just didn't really try and get the better of the opposition. Dave, what are you going for?
Either you stole my thunder a little bit. I was going to say glove
Mhm.
because, like you said, we didn't lay a glove on them.
We didn't at all. We really
We
didn't.
were a sparring partner for a team looking to get promotion.
Yeah, we were the sparring partner for a heavyweight contender, I think, which isn't the ideal situation to be in, I'd imagine. So, but we'll look ahead. Obviously, the home fixtures are all done and dusted, but the season isn't, as the U's travel away to Cheltenham. Cheltenham themselves started really, really poorly. They were sort of at one point strong relegation contenders. They picked up a little bit of form since Steve Cottrell came in. They're now laying in 17th position. 2 losses on the bounce, unfortunately, the most recent one being a 4-0 defeat to Bristol Rovers, which I'd imagine must spark a reaction a little bit amongst their players because they can't be happy with losing to a more local side in Bristol Rovers. But before those 2 losses, 3 wins on the bounce. So I suppose they're a little bit like Colchester. When they turn it on, they can do a job, but it's just a case of doing that consistently. I'm going to refer back to the tweet that I mentioned earlier in the podcast of, is there any point going to Cheltenham if we're sort of already one leg on the beach? So I'm going to start with you, Si. How are you feeling going to that Cheltenham fixture?
I think it's going to be a game where both teams will go very much through the motions. Obviously, it's their last home game, so they're going to want to go out with a bit of a bang, like we obviously wanted to, but didn't get on Saturday. So for me, I'm looking at it a bit differently. Yes, there's people going, is it worth going? Is it this? But I'm looking at it as it could be one of these games where we look back on as an almost historic moment, as in I was there the last game before we had this new glorious chapter in Colchester history with a takeover, hopefully going through, etc. in the summer. So it's kind of one of those games where you say, yep, that was the line in the sand. After that, it's all been better. So I may literally be trying to clutch at straws here to make a reason to go to Cheltenham, but I do think it could be one of those games where you're like, yeah, that's it. That era's over. Let's come to the new era.
Yeah, I like that. That's a really good way of describing it. I was just sort of going to assume that when I put that question to Dave, it was just an opportunity to have a chopsticks in a services. So
If they don't just take cash.
Who carries cash nowadays?
No, not me.
But sort of with that sort of tradition in mind, Ashley, towards the end of the season when there's nothing really to play for, there's that sort of opportunity for younger players to be given more minutes. I think we've already seen it with Sam Kafour getting sort of 35, 40 minutes at the end of the Notts County game. Do you feel like there'll be a couple of younger players in the matchday squad that potentially will get a couple of minutes before the season's out?
I think Cheltenham to 4 is probably, like you say, is probably going to be the one that's going to probably be threatening that next week. It all depends on injuries again, I guess, next week. But I wouldn't expect to see too much of it. I think quite a lot of them have been out on loan as well, haven't they? So
I was going to say, I think a lot of the ones who you think might start are on loan and active at their teams.
Yeah.
And Danny's said quite a few times before, he doesn't throw out token minutes.
No.
Yeah.
To be a professional footballer. Sorry, Ashley, go on.
No, absolutely. And I think that some of them have even been involved in promotion pushes, and I think some might even be involved in playoff battles in the next week or two as well. So I wouldn't expect too much shifting around in the squad that we saw there yesterday, but you might see Kafur get a few more minutes. But it's interesting with Cheltenham because I think they lost to Tranmere, didn't they, last week? And
Yeah,
Tranmere,
at home.
Tranmere have been awful for quite a while now. But then they lost to Bristol yesterday, and I think Bristol Rovers have won about 8 on the trot or something ridiculous now as well. So it's kind of one of those with them. What you're going to get? Like, they're clearly obviously on at the beach probably more than we are at the moment, but it's going to be one of those where I think it's going to be a bit of a fair play to anyone who's going. It's not going to be, I don't think, too eventful, but it's going to be interesting, I think, just to see who gets the minutes. I think that will be a clear indicator of probably who's going to be off and who's going to be here next season. But yeah, guess that'll be the interesting thing to see next week.
Certainly will be, and I don't think there'll be. If you've got a favourite place at Cheltenham to be, I think you're probably going to be able to be in that position. I don't think there's going to be a huge away following going to Cheltenham, and interestingly, with some of the players out on loan, I'm sure Danny wouldn't do anything as silly as to recall anyone. Being someone who came through the non-leagues himself as a manager, knows full well how valuable the loan market is.
Most of their seasons are done though.
Yeah,
I know Salisbury season's over. Just
so that's the one. Is it you want Ronnie Harvey to come and play?
He
Interestingly,
came as a sub for on their game this weekend.
Did he? How did he get on? Was he all right?
Of course he was.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Player of the match. Obviously.
He is certainly one that I'd love to see get more minutes next season after the sort of glimpses that he showed in pre-season and early this season. Ronnie Harvey. Interestingly, Ashley, you mentioned players that are involved in a promotion push. J.K. Gordon is at Rochdale. It was a very eventful day yesterday between Rochdale and York. There was a video doing the rounds of Rochdale celebrating the goal, filmed by a player on the bench on Instagram Live, and that player was J.K. Gordon. Bearing in mind what happens afterwards, do you think he regrets it?
I think him and them fans are going to probably regret that sort of the emotion they showed there. I think it's one of those, isn't it? I think you score in the 95th minute of. I think when I looked, there was 4 minutes added on, so they scored in the 95th minute. So you think at that point, we've done it, and surely that's the last kick. To then go into the 13th minute of injury time, I think it's one of those. And I don't know if you've seen the York goal. There's a lot of debate whether it crossed the line or not as well. So
there's a couple of shots I've seen where it does look like it goes over.
Fair play to the referee as well of having the
bottle to
ball.
It's a huge ball,
in his own conviction to say yes and give it. I think that's very good for the officials in that result.
It is absolutely delicious though that it is the extra time added because the fans ran onto the pitch.
Yeah.
Raging, wouldn't you?
They put them in. And I don't know why players do that. Like, well, I do know, but it's like, when you get some of our players do it as well, but you get a player like the Barnet player. Do you remember that guy who scored for Barnet?
Yes.
Did they go one up or was it any? I don't remember.
They equalised and he celebrated in front
and
of
he goes
South
right
stand,
into the South stand, and you get players who you see it all the time on the EFL highlights, and players going to the home stands and giving it all that after 10 minutes. And you're like, okay, if it's the third goal in a 3-0 win, 5 minutes from time, go for it. I would do it. It must feel great. But you're giving yourself just enough rope there to hang yourself on. If that there's a long time to go and a lot can happen.
It certainly is.
It was just a crazy finish, though, wasn't it? I mean, you expected a bit of drama in that game, but the way it finished, it was unreal. I think the Newport game as well. I mean, I think there was 20 minutes added on. I don't know what happened there, but
they scored 18.
There was a bad injury there, and Harrogate were out of the bottom.
Yeah,
out of the bottom two, and then Newport stuck them back in. What a
And
disaster!
that almost relegate. I think that's more or less relegated Barrow or
The goal difference ain't gonna. Yeah,
Which is a lovely thing. I would like.
yeah.
to point
Si's
out.
happy.
Very.
Yeah. Well, it means we won't be doubled by then next season, won't it? So
Now Harrogate's still in the bottom two. Goal difference.
That's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
Harrogate were out, and then we walked from the stadium to the car, and then Newport had put one in after missing a penalty 2 minutes before.
Same guy was it? Then scored.
Yeah, imagine how that must have felt.
I think Barrow played Newport next week as well, so that could have been a huge game. I mean, it's not still a big game, but not as big now. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, and that wider EFL content. There you go. We're already delivering on our promise. J.K. Gordon, interestingly, wasn't actually in the squad. He was sort of just on the bench as part of the wider team. But there were 3 players that have played for Colchester United that featured in the game. Anyone want to have a go?
Hey, see when you do this. There's also Henderson.
Yep.
The only one I could think of was JK, but obviously
wasn't in the squad.
Was it Newby? Newby was on the bench.
Yeah, Alex Newby.
Alex Newby. Yeah,
I've got it. Luke Hannant.
It was Luke Hannant. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he only transferred in summer and winter than in January.
Well done.
Pretty sure Luke Hannant came off for Ian Henderson as well. So there you go, a little bit of a Colu trivia for you. But
I don't remember Ian Henderson doing anything for us other than getting sent off that time.
Against Norwich on his debut.
Yeah, a flying tackle.
He was decent. He was decent for a couple of seasons.
I always feel that way about Liam Mandeville as well, that when he was at Colchester, he never really did a huge amount and then went on to have a pretty decent career in League Two and League One. Nicky Kambamba, another one, absolutely battered it back end of the season for Bromley.
Yeah.
The official stats say didn't come on. They didn't replace each other. They replaced each other at the same time.
Ah, okay. Well, there you go.
Hannant came off 6th, 7th minute. Henderson came on 6th, 7th minute, but Hannant was replaced by Barlow and Henderson replaced Rodney.
I don't know what to do with that information.
Yeah, but it's out there now.
I think they both scored when they won a couple of weeks ago. Henderson scored in like the 95th minute or something ridiculous. But he's just, I don't know if you saw his assist yesterday. It's unreal.
Yeah, it's amazing to the back post, wasn't it?
Unreal, outside the right foot, yeah.
Yeah, looking at Cheltenham as well, Danny's made it pretty clear over the last few weeks that he wants Colchester United to be a bit more streetwise and maybe look towards bringing in a few more experienced heads and have them in the Colchester United squad. I'm looking at the Cheltenham squad and they have sort of that style of player in abundance. They've got James Wilson as their captain, Josh Davison as well, who's done bits for Tranmere as well as Cheltenham. Yeah. Joe Day being the goalkeeper and Ben Stevenson as well, who Hughes fans know. So it'd be interesting to watch how Cheltenham approach that game, having a few more seasoned heads in their squad, and whether that actually is to their benefit or detriment when it's 2 sides that may not necessarily have much to play for. Dave, just to sort of round things off, because I don't feel like we have a great deal to talk about, and
this just need this game.
Why drag this preview out longer than it needs to?
Yeah, more time to talk about the non-league game. We
really have. We really have. But to sort of round things off, Dave, Steve Cottrell's someone who stays in the memory of Hughes fans quite vividly. Any listeners who are of an age where they might be a bit younger probably don't know this, but those who are of sort of our age and older remember Steve Cottrell speaking about Colchester after we beat Burnley.
Yeah.
Saying they're going home with their sombreros on, as if to say, yep, you've had your nice little win on your big day out, now off you go and go home. That's stuck in a lot of memories. Will you, if we order you one, wear a sombrero for the Cheltenham game?
No.
Will you not?
Of course I won't.
Go on, Si. Si will do it.
I'll do it.
What will Si do? Episode 1.
He's going to wear a
We'll
sombrero.
build up to sleeping in Highwards.
I'm going to make it even better. So if you can do it, and any listener that is going to the Cheltenham game, feel free to join in. If you can get a sombrero for the game, I'll order it. Send me your address. I'll get it sent to you.
What are you doing yourself?
If you can get a picture with Steve Cottrell wearing a sombrero, that is the challenge.
What do you get for that challenge?
Yeah.
So I just
Other than eternal glory.
Yeah, exactly. The eternal glory of doing something funny. Would you do it, Si?
I don't think I'll be able to get a picture of it, but I'll wear a sombrero. I've won a hell of a lot worse.
Go on, Ashley, you were saying something?
I was going to say, when we played Burnley later that season at home, a few of us actually did go wearing sombreros.
Yeah, there have been,
Yeah.
And there's a certain Colchester fan, John Tweed, you might be aware of John. I believe the last time we played, whoever Cottrell was manager when we last played them at our ground, he wore the sombrero as well. So
Forest Green, I believe. Maybe John's already going to do it.
Forest Green, yes. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Tweedy's doing it. Yeah.
There we go. Wear your sombreros if you can, because Steve Cottrell mocked us in a season that did we finish above him? I think we potentially did that year. Anyway, we'll round it off with some score predictions. I don't really know what my prediction is going to be, so I'm going to go round the panel and hopefully something comes to me. Si, what is your prediction for the Cheltenham game?
2-1, Payne and Williams to score.
Yeah, not seen too much of Jaden Williams, have we, in the last few weeks? He's sort of been more of a bit part player after having that run of starts.
I feel like Danny's lost a bit of faith in him.
Do you think it's the fact? And I think Neil Kelly made that quite clear, where he had a good game, but he didn't score, and you want your number 9 to be scoring goals, and as well as he did in sort of linking up the play.
The Bromley, yeah,
maybe. Yeah, maybe the lack of goals worked against him, but Si, you're going for Williams, and who was it you said is for the other goal scorer?
Jack Payne.
Yeah, that's a bit more reliable. Ashley, what are you going for?
I'm going for a 1-1, and I'm going for a slightly low goal scorer because I think he's been a little bit unlucky to get on the score sheet since he's been with. I'm going with Akacha to get the goal.
Yes, I think again he sort of his cameos have been pretty good, and potentially maybe he's someone who Colchester United could be looking to bring in next season. Dave, what are you going for?
It's going to be an end of term free for all, 4-4. Kafour's going to score the 4th. Jack Tucker is going to score. Is going to score 2, so I think that might get him on the back on the leaderboard, which he was top of for an unnervingly long time at the start of the season, if you remember.
Only because he's the only one that scored a goal.
Yeah, exactly. And Jack Payne penalty. What we can say, Si, this is the season we learnt to take penalties.
This is the season, yeah. I still remember that Gillingham game, Dave, where we weren't convinced that goal was going to go in from the spot, but we were grateful that it did. I'm going to be really boring. I think it's going to be 0-0.
2 in a row.
I really do. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 0-0. It has the air of. Do you remember when all the fans came on the pitch away at Leyton Orient? And then we all went home, and they just sort of kicked it about for a bit, and we listened to it on the radio.
Snuck back onto the pitch.
Those last 8 minutes, I think, will be the 90 minutes we play against Cheltenham.
We did it against Crewe, didn't we? It was the season before last.
Yeah, that was for a reason.
Yeah, because they were happy.
Just because they've
got their playoffs, haven't they? We've got our safety. That was the most comfortable I've felt all year. With Crewe playing it between their back four.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty dull affair. But do go and do wear a sombrero. Si, Ashley, Dave, thank you very much for joining me and sharing your insights and opinions. And if you have enjoyed Beyond the Barside this season, please do tune in to some of the off-season content that we will have moving forward. We'll still release it at the same time every week, but it'll be a little bit of variety for you to enjoy before next season. So thank you for listening, and up the U's.
Cheers, guys.
Guys.
Cheers, lads.